Hello friends, welcome to ENTRANCEADVISER.com. Today I will be discussing about the gametogenesis. That is a part of the chapter 3 human reproduction. Before that, if you are new to my channel, please hit the bell icon and do subscribe to my channel. So let's start. If you have ever wondered how a baby is born, then it is important to know the process of reproduction in depth. The biological DNA contained in the sperm are formed using the process called the gametogenesis. It consists of different phases after which the male and female sex cells are formed. This article or this project would carefully enlighten you about the gametogenesis or oogenesis features. So, let us give an introduction to gametogenesis. We can simply call it the procedure by which sperms and ova, that is the male and the female sex cells, are designed in the male testes and the female ovaries respectively. These gametes vary from all the other cells present in the body. This is because their nuclei contain only half the count of the chromosomes present in the nuclei of the somatic cells. It is vital to note that meiosis shapes the major part or most of the part of the development of the gametogenesis. Further, gametogenesis associated with the formation of sperms is called the spermatogenesis, whereas the formation of ova is termed as oogenesis. In addition, both oogenesis and spermatogenesis include similar stages of sequential changes. So, the process of formation of gametes in the primary sex organs is called the gametogenesis, and the gametogenesis includes the spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis in males and oogenesis in females. The process of formation of sperms is called the spermatogenesis. It involves the three phases, as I said: the multiplication phase, the growth phase, and the maturation phase. And the conversion of the spermatids into sperms is called spermiogenesis, and the process of formation of the mature female gamete is called the oogenesis. Let's have a look in this picture. It is a primary oocyte. It is giving rise to the primary oocyte and it is get mature, and then the secondary oocyte are formed, and apart from that a first polar body also forms, and from the secondary oocyte the mature ovum along with the secondary polar bodies are also developed. So let's give insights about the gametogenesis. This is a process by the primary male and female sex organ produce the male and the female gametes respectively, as I already said. And spermatogenesis is the process by which the immature male sperm or the cells or the spermatogonia produce the mature sperm cells in the testes. The oogenesis, the process by which the immature oogonia in the ovaries produce the mature ovum. And here the primary oocyte, the secondary oocyte, the mature oocyte, and the polar body spermatids are formed, as I said. And the oogenesis is from the 2N, and the primary oocyte, then the first polar body, then the secondary polar body. And in case of spermatogenesis, also the primary spermatocyte and the secondary spermatocytes are developed. The spermatogenesis. The formation procedure of sperms is known as the spermatogenesis. This occurs primarily in the seminiferous tubules present in the testes. These seminiferous tubules are increased by germinal epithelium, and further the germinal epithelium largely comprises of primordial cells or the PGCs. And in addition, tall somatic cells termed as the Sertoli cells or nerve cells also present, and the spermatogenesis refers to the formation of the spermatids and spermatogonia. So the process of spermatogenesis begins at the puberty and proceeds as follows. The spermatogonia multiply by the meiosis to increase in the number. They are present in the inner wall of the seminiferous tubules. Each spermatogonium is diploid. Each spermatogonium contains a 46 chromosome. So here is 46, that is the 2 into 23, that is the 46 chromosomes. 2n number of spermatogonium, 2n number of chromosomes are present in a spermatogonium, in each spermatogonium, okay? Some spermatogonia, called the primary spermatocyte, periodically undergo the meiosis to form two equal haploid cells called the secondary spermatocytes. They contain the 23 chromosomes. So the secondary spermatocytes contain the 2n chromosomes, and they contain the, after the meiosis 1, it undergoes meiosis 2, and the secondary spermatocytes produce equal and haploid cells after they undergo the second meiotic division. They are called as the spermatids. They also contain the 23 chromosomes. And this is not 2, this is 1, okay? In the picture it is looking as 2, but it's 1. And the spermatids undergo the spermiogenesis to form the spermatozoa or the sperms. Then the spermatids undergo the spermiogenesis. This is a process of differentiation to form into the spermatozoa. The sperm heads are embedded in the Sertoli cells, and they are finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process of spermiation. I hope you understood. And this spermatogonia are the immature male germ cells, and that undergo meiotic divisions to form the sperms. Each spermatogonium is diploid, as I said, contains 46 chromosomes. Spermatocytes, primary spermatocytes, is spermatogonia that undergo the periodic meiosis to form two equal haploid cells called the as a secondary spermatocytes. The primary spermatocytes contain the 46 chromosome. The secondary spermatocytes are haploid cells arising from the spermatocytes as a result of meiosis 1. Then they contain the 23 chromosomes, and the spermatids are the haploid cells that arise from the secondary spermatocytes as a result of meiosis 2. They contain the 23 chromosomes. And then again, the spermiogenesis is a process by which the spermatids mature to form the spermatozoa. The spermation is the process by which the mature spermatozoa are released and from the seminiferous tubules. So this is just basically the overview or the summary of the spermatogenesis process, and it contains the multiplication phase, where during the sexual maturity the division of undistinguishable primordial germ cells occur several times due to the meiosis. This is majorly to produce a large count of the spermatogonia. These are of two kinds, type A and type B. Type A spermatogonia act as the stem cells that divide to create additional spermatogonia. On the other hand, type B spermatogonia can be thought as the prototypes of the male sex cells. Then comes the growth phase. Do you remember that every type B spermatogonium dynamically grows to form a superior primary spermatocyte through the nourishment received from the nursing cells. This phase further concludes in the maturation phase. The maturation phase, under this, the primary spermatocyte experiences two successive divisions. These are termed as maturation divisions, and the meiotic is the first maturation disunion. Therefore, the primary spermatocyte segregates into two haploid daughter cells known as secondary spermatocytes, as I said. And further, both the secondary spermatocytes suffer the second maturation separation in a regular meiotic division. Then mitotic division, it leads to the creation of the four haploid spermatids. Okay, these are four haploid spermatids. Now, how the spermatozoa are created? In simple words, the conversion of spermatids to spermatozoa is termed as the spermiogenesis, or spermatoleiosis also called. And further, the spermatozoa are later called as sperms. Hence, four sperms are developed from the single spermatogonium. Once the spermiogenesis happens, the sperm heads are fixed in the Sertoli cells, which are finally let loose from the seminiferous tubules through a process known as spermiation. The sperms are motile and microscopic cells that live alive and recollect their capability to fertilize an egg or ovum for 24 to 48 hours right after being free in the female genital tract. For a typical mammalian sperm, the head, neck together and with a middle piece and tail the prime section. As you can see, this is the head, this is the neck, and this is the tail. I have covered about the structure of sperm that in the earlier lectures. Hope you have read this. And what are the hormones that affect the spermatogenesis? So, the gonadotropin releasing hormone GnRH, it is a hormone secreted by the hypothalamus. Its levels increase significantly at the puberty. The increased levels of GnRH stimulates the release of two gonadotropins, the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, from the anterior pituitary. And the follicle stimulating hormone FSH acts on the Sertoli cells and stimulates the release of some factors that help in the process of spermatogenesis. And the LH or luteinizing hormone acts on the Leydig cells and stimulates the synthesis on the secretion of androgens, which in turn stimulate the process of spermatogenesis. So as you can see, there are various hormones, mainly two kinds of hormones, which facilitate the process of the spermatogenesis. And if you insist, I can refer to the uh, structure of sperm uh, at a glance. That is, it contains a head, neck, and the middle piece, and the tail, and the plasma membrane covers the whole body of the sperm. Okay, the head portion of the sperm contains a haploid nucleus. The anterior portion of the head contains an acrosome. Okay, in the acrosome. Acrosome is a structure that is filled with the digestive enzymes that help in the dissolving the membrane of the egg and help in the fertilization of the ovum. The middle piece, it contains the numerous mitochondria that produce the energy for the movement of the tail. This is important for the motility of the sperm, which is essential for fertilization. During the ejaculation, 200 to 300 million sperms are released. At least 60% should have a normal shape and size, and at least 40% should show vigorous motility. And the semen is a milky white organic fluid released by the penis during the ejaculation. It consists of sperms and the fluid secreted by the accessory ducts and the accessory glands such as the epididymis, the vas deferens, seminal vesicles, prostrate, and the bulbourethral glands. The testicular hormones or in the androgens maintain the functions of the male accessory uh, ducts and glands. Mainly these hormones. Okay. So, a spermatozoon is an actively motile free swimming cell and consists of a head, neck, and a tail, as I said. And the head is ovoid, consists of a nucleus, and the anterior two-thirds of the nucleus is covered by the acrosomal cap. And the tail has three segments: middle piece, and the principal piece, and the end piece. Now coming to the oogenesis. The effect of gametogenesis in the females is associated with a mature female gamete. This is created through the process called the oogenesis. This happens in the ovaries or the female gonads. There are three phases of the oogenesis, namely the multiplication phase, growth phase, and the maturation phase. Let us try to understand these phases in a precise manner. So, the process of formation of a mature female gamete, it oogenesis, and it is initiated during the embryonic development stage. During this stage, a couple of million gametes, mother cells or oogonia, are formed in the fetal ovary. No more oogonia are formed or added after the birth. The oogonia are the primary oocytes. The oogonia starts the process of meiosis and gets arrested at the stage of prophase 1. These cells originating from the oogonia that are arrested at the prophase 1 are called as the primary oocyte. As you can see, after the germinal cell, this is diploid and this is also diploid, but it is the primary oocyte. Then each primary oocyte gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells and is now called the primary follicle. Okay, a large number of primary follicles get degenerated between the birth and the puberty. At the puberty, therefore, there are only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles in the ovary. These remaining primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of the granulosa cells as well as the new theca. They now form the secondary follicle. The secondary follicle then gives rise to the tertiary follicle, and the tertiary follicle is characterized by the presence of a fluid filled cavity called the antrum. The theca is organized into two layers, inner theca interna or the outer theca externa. The primary oocyte grows in size and completes the first meiotic division. It is an unequal division forming a large secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. So it is a primordial follicle, then the primary follicle before the birth. And then the childhood arrived, the ovary is inactive. And from the puberty to menopause, the primary follicle undergoes primary oocyte, then secondary oocyte, and this is the first polar body. And when the sperm enters, then the meiosis 2 completes, and the secondary oocyte is arrested at the metaphase 2, and it is ovulated. And if not, then it is the zygote and it is the 2N, then the secondary polar body dies. And in case of follicle development, the primary follicle, then primordial follicle before birth, then primary follicle again, then growing follicle during the menstrual cycle, and the mature follicle, then ovulation occurs at the 14th day of the cycle, and then it becomes the corpus luteum. And the ovum is haploid. So, the multiplication phase occurs during the fetal development. It should be noticed that the certain cells present in the germinal epithelium of the female ovary are bigger than the others. Hence, this cell splits by mitosis, creating a couple of million oogonia and mother's egg cells in each ovary present in the fetus. There are no more oogonia which are formed or augmented after the birth. The growth phase is thus. So this is a particular procedure of the primary oocyte tends to be very long, and in this the oogonium nurtures into bigger primary oocytes. After this, each primary oocyte gets surrounded by the granulosa cells, cell layers to create the primary follicle. And later, the large number of follicles get debased during the duration from the birth to puberty. Therefore, at the puberty, around 60 to 80,000, as I said, and primary follicles can be found in each ovary. The maturation phase is similar to the primary spermatocyte. Even the primary oocyte experiences two maturation divisions. However, the outcomes of the maturation divisions under oogenesis are quite different to those which occur in the spermatogenesis. Considering the first meiotic division, the primary oocyte segregates into two uneven haploid daughter cells. These are known as the large secondary oocyte and the small polocyte or the second polar body. Later, considering the second maturation separation, the initial polar body might split to create two second polar bodies. Here, the secondary oocyte again divides to form unfit daughter cells. So, the secondary oocyte retains much of the nutrient-rich cytoplasm, and the tertiary follicle changes into the mature graphene follicle, and the secondary oocyte forms a new layer called as the zona pellucida around it. The graphene follicle now ruptures to release the secondary oocyte or ovum from the ovary by the process of ovulation. So this is a picture which is showing the corpus luteum. Then it is a ruptured follicle, and starting from here, it is a primary oocyte. Then the primary follicle developed, and then it is a mature follicle, and then ovulation occurs as the secondary oocyte. Then it again returns in the form of the corpus luteum. Repeating again, primordial germ cells are present, then oogonium which is diploid, then the primary oocyte, then the first meiotic division occurs. This is a resting stage, okay? And the secondary oocyte, the first polar body generated. It is the second meiotic division, and after that again second polar body is generated. Ooted, a haploid is produced, then from ooted the ovum haploid are present. This is a more simpler view where oogonium is present. The primary oocyte is the primary follicle, then the secondary oocyte released by the ruptured follicle, and if the fertilization occurs, then the secondary oocyte becomes an egg. This is also a cross-sectional view of the ovary. This is and these are same. First of all, this is a primary follicle, then this is a secondary follicle, then this is a tertiary follicle, then it is a mature graphene follicle, then the secondary oocyte is released, and after that it is degenerated as a corpus luteum and corpus albicans. Hope you enjoyed this video. Wait for the next video. Thank you.